It is time to ignite those dreams of our young people and empower the youth to bring their visions to life. Now, we are partnering with the After School Graduate Development Center on the Ignite Enterprise project to provide practical tools to teach young people how to build businesses and to create employment for others. In Lagos, the possibilities are endless. Èkó ò ní bàjẹ́ o.
Lagos State, in partnership with AGDC, presents Ignite, powered by First Bank and supported by Bank of Industry.
I want you to look at something, the issue of perceived value in terms of price. Now, what role does perception play? Is the customer's own evaluation of the product. And even though it's not a tangible, it's an intangible, or what you call an intrinsic value that has a price in itself.
From the great city of Lagos, it's another inspiring episode of Ignite. Practical business advice taking you from dreams to reality. Ignite, from dreams to reality.
With perceived value, you could get it right and you could be so wrong. Which means you could charge too low or you could charge too high, but you must be open to adjustments. Because as you try out the pricing, the customer's reaction or the market reaction will guide you as to what is a stable place for that price. If your price is set too high for the quality, material, or workmanship involved, then you will see that the perceived value of those factors, then you can expect lower sales. If you set the price too high for what the customer perceives, either from the quality or from the material or from the service, then they will not be convinced, and so you will sell to a lower number of people. If, on the other hand, if the price is perceived to be low for the quality, material, or workmanship involved, then the perceived value would lead to lower sales. Now, when your prices are competitive with others in the market and the marketplace, the quality and workmanship also comparable. Lower prices will encourage higher sales, while higher prices will discourage mass sales. Because in a market of even play, do you understand? Price becomes a tool to create an advantage or a disadvantage. Now, the roles of costs and expenses. Establishing an appropriate price is directly related to the wholesale price you pay to buy the product for resale, or what it costs to make, produce, or manufacture the product, and that includes the actual cost of the goods. What's included in that is the type of materials involved, the manpower, and other costs associated with production. Your manufacturing costs also include a lot of invisible expenses, such as that portion of your cost of operation and overhead expenses directly and indirectly involved, as well as how much profit you want to make per unit. What are your indirect costs? If I produce shoe, I have cost of leather, I have cost of machinery, I have cost of diesel, I have cost of this and all of that. That's fine. But there are other costs. In a company, there are people that work that have nothing to do with the product. The accountants, the admin manager, the driver, the this, but they have a cost because they're part of what services the whole chain of the business. Most of the time for small companies, you don't even value yourself. After addressing costs and expenses associated with your product or services, you should research what your competition is charging for its products or services comparable to those that you will offer. Why? The researching of the market price is what affects the perception part. Because if you're selling the same product and yours is lower, people will first be cautious. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you check the competition and you realize that they are just being exorbitant, do you understand me? And you know that you're confident about your product and you can defend it. and you have decided on what is a fair price, you should stay with your price, sometimes adjusting for the market, but not necessarily following the market. Which is why you've got to have goals set for your own business in advance. And in a situation like that, once you can defend the quality of your own pricing, determine what you know is reasonable price, and engage your customer to make them understand that you're offering the right quality within the range of what you have chosen to sell, and your price, whether it's lower or is higher, can be defended and is fair and just within the context of the market as well. Now, never forget that there will always be extraordinary situations. What are the kind of extraordinary situations you can encounter when it comes to your price? If you just happen to have received a container of goods and your warehouse is full of this item that suddenly becomes contraband, what does that mean? What will set in? Scarcity will set in. Scarcity will set in because the condition for making the product available has changed. And therefore, it will not be readily available. The stock that you have now becomes more expensive because the demand will be higher because the goods are not readily available anymore. Now, in economics, what did they say to you? Higher demand with lower supply is what? It will yield to increase in price. You will almost have nothing to do with it. The market will fix its own price. Because if you have 10 people coming after the stock that you have, and this man is saying to you, look, I will take 50% of your entire stock. And you say, Oga, I want to sell over time. He said, look, the price is 10,000 naira now. I'll pay you 15,000 naira. Hey, whilst you are still watching, the other guy who is standing by, who is also interested, say, don't mind him. I offer you 17,000. Yeah, but if you are thinking, you would realize it's not replaceable. So there's a cost. Because it means that once you sell it out, that guy is going to keep it to now control the market. So you got to think farther than just that immediate money. Now, what will be the real value will be related to your ability to continue in that business without doing it illegally. Which could mean that you're going to have to change into production. And over a period of time, you're probably safer keeping your stock, selling at a slightly higher price, but controlling the market whilst you're setting up your alternative way so that you have continuity. Otherwise, once you've sold, you're out of business until you start producing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there are costs involved either way. And don't be quick to just think about the money.
Ignite, from dreams to reality.
What do I like? I like what I do. I like going on holiday with my family. And I like my car. I like gadgets. And I like my bank.
If your bank were us, you would like us too. Since 1894, we have built a strong and stable financial institution based on insightful local know-how, global reach, and a commitment to deliver to you world-class innovative solutions. First Bank, truly the first.
Ignite, from dreams to reality.
The most important thing I've learned is that I used to price based on my own needs at that time. Because once I just need something, I just think of a new idea, price based on whatever I need. If I need to buy a phone, I just price based on whatever I need. But now, I've learned to be strategic with my pricing and be fair to my customers. I don't judge based on the class or the income of the customer. I'm strategic with my pricing. I think that's the greatest thing I've learned.
I've learned how to structure a business, how in terms of pricing, so I tend to impact that knowledge into my business.
Ignite, from dreams to reality.
Now, let's look at pricing strategies. There is no one right pricing strategy. It all depends on what statements you want to make about your company, the perceived value of its products or services, and how you intend to position your company and/or its products and services. Now, if what you are interested in is turnover, you see, as a business, you've got to position yourself. That's why setting your own goals is important. Talking about me and my business group, my goal always is numbers. I like volume, which means that I prefer turnover to margin. When you prefer turnover to margin, it means that your margins are what? They're lower. Your margins are lower and your pricing is lower because you want to sell quickly and sell larger numbers. Now, the real thing to look at is where do you want to arrive at? If you sell large volume, you will make smaller margins, but it doesn't mean that you make less profit overall. Because if I sell 1,000 pieces with 10,000 naira margin, how much have I made? It's 10 million actually. Or, on the other hand, I only want to sell 200 pieces or 100 pieces, but I'm looking for 25,000 naira margin. How much is that? It's 5 million. See, when you look at it, it looks like I'm the foolish one, because his margin is what? 25,000. My margin is 10,000. We're selling similar type products. But because of the difference in our price, even though our quality is comparable, I can sell larger volume. But the volume guarantees that I make more profit. And the other thing it does is allows me to have more cycles. There's what you call gearing ratio for the money that you have. How many times do I apply the same money in business? If I have 1 million naira and I can buy goods and sell them 3 times in a month, as opposed to have 1 million naira and buy goods that the cycle is just once. Even if my profit is only 40% of the guy who sells his cycle once, 40% 3 times takes me to what? 120. I would already make 20% more profit than the guy whose price guarantees him 1 turnaround. Do you understand what I'm saying? So those are factors that you also must consider, which is why you've got to have goals that you've set, which is why you've got to get it right. And you have to identify your own market and see what mode, in fairness and in consideration to the customer and in a sustainable manner, can be applied to your pricing. Your pricing is based on your business goal in itself. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you always have to track and follow and monitor. So you have to understand all of these things and know how to play. But it must align with your own goals, because your prices will always be challenged by circumstance, by people, by competition, by products. Sometimes rightfully, sometimes illegally. And remember what I said at the beginning. Pricing is a reflection of your sense of integrity and your character. And it will communicate more to your customer than you think. It would also communicate a lot to the people that work for you. Because don't forget, the people that work for you on the inside will know a lot more than the outside. So when they know that this is a realistic price for this product, but our people or my madam or my oga, they're taking advantage of the customer and selling at this price, they will be your first competition. Why? They know they can deliver the product at a lower price. And every wide gap that you leave between the real price and your market price is room you have left for competition to take advantage of. Don't forget that. It might look like it's your advantage for a season if you are the only one in the market selling that product. But once competition comes in, the first place they will take value is in that price gap that you have left. Because they also know the real cost. They also know the real cost. And if you've moved from the real cost or a viable retail price here to this price to extort or to take advantage of the market, competition will jump in here. They will also be making abnormal profit, but the market will think they're more honest than you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they're going to come in. And so if you now begin to come down to go and meet them there, then they will say, hey, so you were taking advantage of us before. Those are real issues. And you have to understand it. So set your goal, choose your market segment, understand the characteristics of your market segment, understand their sensitivity to price, understand their perception and what is acceptable to them, what do they consider as value, understand the environment of your competition, and understand the threats that your price can present to you. Also understand that your integrity is on the line. Your character can be killed or built. You become honorable or dishonorable as a business person based on what your price communicates. It might not communicate it today, but tomorrow, what will the price you're charging today tell your customer? Do you understand what I'm saying? Analyze all of those issues and remember, do unto others as you want them to do to you. In all scenarios, go back to the fairness principle. Are you charging a fair market price? But a fair market price is subject to so many things. So there's no fixed strategy, but there's a strategy of conscience. Because at the end of the day, you know. And if you're going to have variable pricing, have justifiable, defendable, value-driven basis for it. Now, competition-based pricing. In this strategy, pricing is based on how your competition prices products or services, similar to those you will offer. Competitive pricing, cost plus pricing, which means cost plus a percentage, because when you set out for this business, you've decided that for this industry, there are also industry-related pricing patterns. For this industry, based on so many factors, any margin below 10% is not sustainable. Any margin below 25% is not viable because of so many things. Seasonality, size of market, so many things. All of those things you must arrive at and you must find. Discount pricing, price reductions. What does discount pricing involve? You can decide that any person that is over 70 years old or 60 years old that comes to your shop, out of the goodness of your heart, or because your own parents are old and retired and you have a sense of what their income is, you want to attract the aged and the retired customers. So you say all retirees have a 10% discount automatically when they buy in this place. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, is there a problem with that? No. As long as every retiree that comes to your business will get that discount. Now, there's a problem if one retiree comes and says, it's not your type I give. It's another type. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, if a young man comes and says, how can you not give me the same discount? Are you retired? Pure and simple. Everybody that buys 200 pieces moves to 20% discount. Why? What is the basis for it? Because the volume gives you an increased overall profit and helps you to have higher transaction, and so you can justify and defend the discount, but is applicable to all that are willing to buy 200. So if a man was coming to you to buy 150, the 200 gets 20% discount can encourage him to move his quantity away from 150 to 200 because he thinks the margin, that's what the Chinese people do. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for you as well, think about how to move your volume. Or you can say, every time you buy and you pay me cash down, on my retail price, there's an automatic 20% discount. If you pay me in 7 days, you get 15% discount. If you pay me in 3 days, you will only get 2% discount. If you are going to pay me at the end of so, you pay price plus 10%. No, you're not cheating anybody. You're covering your costs, and you've said your pricing policy is clear and is communicated to the customer. And the customer has options. But your pricing policy should serve your own purpose. If your purpose always is to get your money back because you don't have a lot of capital, so you can turn it around again, what you are after is to sell quickly. Therefore, when people are doing 50% margin, you're happy to do 15% margin. You know why a lot of people lost money in the stock market? People are looking for 3 times the value they invested. How do you not know that that is not a sustainable thing? Is the money coming from space? There are people who went to that market and never lost a dime. Because for every share they bought, every time the value appreciated up to, whether they've said 30% or 40% in advance, once they see 30% or 40% value, they do not care if it will go to 200% value tomorrow. They will sell. Take out their capital, take out part of the profit, go back. So at the end of the day, the original sum is never put at risk. They take some of the profit and keep for themselves. They buy some and put that at risk. If that is lost eventually, they're not wiped out. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you've got to think beyond just, oh, this is what everybody is selling, this is what, no. There's a lot more involved in your price and it's important.
Ignite, from dreams to reality.